I've been backpacking for over 20 years, and I still see people making these 5 gear mistakes. Let's make sure you're not making them. Hey everyone, welcome to another video. My name is Jeremy, and this channel is all about outdoor adventure. I'm talking backpacking, hiking, hunting, and all the gear that makes it better. Today, we're breaking down the 5 biggest gear mistakes that I see both beginner and experienced backpackers make. And yes, I've been absolutely guilty of making every single one of these myself. These mistakes don't just weigh you down, they can ruin your trip. But the good news, they're easy to fix once you've identified them. Stick around until the end because I have 2 underrated pieces of gear that absolutely deserve to be in your pack on every single hike. Let's get into it. Coming in at number 5, carrying the Big A Rambo style survival knife into the backcountry. I get it. There's just something undeniably cool about strapping a big survival knife to your hip. Trust me, I've been there. On my first several trips, I would take a big old Bowie knife, way bigger than this. It's just something about it. It brings out your inner Davy Crockett. It's just you in the wilderness, exploring new frontiers, conquering the world. Man, it was so cool. But when you're backpacking, this is just overkill. This knife alone weighs 11.8 ounces. You throw in the sheath, and you're looking at almost 14 ounces. That's just too heavy for the trail. You don't need this. Out of curiosity, what's the heaviest knife that you've taken on an overnight backpacking trip? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear your stories. Instead of the heavy fixed blade survival knife, go for a lightweight lockable folding knife like this CRKT. It has a skeletonized frame. It's lightweight, coming in at about 3.5 ounces. It's durable, it's compact, and it just gets the job done. So ditch the fixed blade and go with the small folder. Less is more in the backcountry. Next up, at number 4, overly complicated cook systems. I did this for years. I used to carry an MSR Dragonfly stove, a, a pressurized fuel bottle, and a full-on cook kit. I mean, look at this thing. It's massive. It's got 2 lids that double as frying pans. It's has a pot grabber. It's another pot nested inside. It's like a Russian doll. I don't know what I was thinking. You know, I keep this around for nostalgia, but I don't bring it backpacking with me anymore. It's just too heavy, especially for me these days. When I'm backpacking all day and finally set up camp, the last thing I want to do is meal prep. So for me, I'm generally pulling out a freeze-dried meal like a Mountain House or one of these Peak Refuels. And if you haven't done so yet, you've got to give these biscuits and gravy a try. Amazing. But I digress. But with these meals, I only need to boil 1 or 2 cups of water. This guy requires 1 and 1/3 cups of water. I don't need a huge complex system to just boil some water. Years ago, I switched to a single pot, an alcohol stove, and a small bottle of denatured alcohol. And I probably shaved 1 or 2 pounds off my pack weight. That was a game changer for me. Today, my cook system is just as simple and just as light. It's a 750 milliliter Toast titanium pot, an MSR Pocket Rocket 2 stove, and a small fuel canister, all nested inside. It's lightweight, it comes in at about 13 ounces, fully loaded, and it does everything that I need it to do. Do yourself a favor and simplify your cook system. You'll thank yourself after a long day on the trail. Mistake number 3 is classic. Carrying a first aid kit that's just way too big. As a former wilderness EMT, I understand the temptation to pack for every single scenario. But the sad truth is, unless you know how to use it, all that extra gear, it's just dead weight. Here's a scenario. You're 10 miles into a trail and someone in your group sprains their ankle. What's important in this situation isn't a splint. It's knowing how to stabilize the injury with gear that you already have, like trekking poles and duct tape. The takeaway here is this: skills outweigh gear every time. A lightweight, well thought out first aid kit paired with basic first aid training will cover you in 99% of the situations you're going to find yourself in. Here's my first aid kit. It's simple, effective, and it fits in the palm of your hand. You can reduce your kit to just a few ounces and still be prepared. Focus on the essentials, add your upgrades and your personal items, and most importantly, know how to use every single item in your kit. Pack light, pack smart, and invest in training to make the most of what you carry. 2 mistakes to go before we talk about the 2 pieces of gear that should be with you on every single trip. Let's continue. Coming in at number 2, packing way too many clothes. Drop a raised hand in the comments if you are guilty of this mistake, like I was when I first started. When I first started backpacking, I would carry an extra pair of pants, an extra shirt, extra underwear, extra socks, all just in case. But here's the thing, you don't need all of that. Your hiking clothes double as your camp clothes, and if they get wet, well, you can just dry them out in your tent overnight. It's okay. The key is a good layering system, a moisture wicking base layer, an insulation layer, and a weatherproof outer shell. That combination will handle just about anything the backcountry can throw at you. I've seen folks on day 2 of a 5-day trek absolutely wilting under the weight of their pack, all because they packed a fresh change of clothes for every single day. Don't be that person. So here's my rule. In addition to my hiking clothes, I'll generally carry a base layer top, maybe a base layer bottom. I'll carry 1, but probably 2 extra pairs of socks and maybe an extra pair of underwear just for morale. And that's it. Leave the rest at home, embrace your stink bubble, and enjoy the trail. Finally, mistake number 1, the biggest mistake I see beginner and new backpackers make is packing way too much food. It's easy to overpack food. I get it. Nobody wants to be hungry on the trail. You'll start off by just throwing in an extra dinner, and then you're going to start adding more and more snacks, and it goes on and on and on. And before you know it, you have an extra 3 or 4 pounds of food that you're just not going to eat. One of the best ways to prevent overpacking food is to simply plan out your meals for your day. You want to start with figuring out how many calories per day you need, and then build your meal plan from there. A good rule of thumb is 1 to 1.5 pounds of food per day. I'll normally start by selecting a dinner, and then I'm going to select all my snacks, and I'm going to put them in a Ziploc bag so that they're nice and organized. And a pro tip, try your food before you get on the trail. The trail isn't the place to discover that you don't like this protein bar or that you can't stomach this meal. Dial in your food plan, bring what you need, maybe add a snack for morale, and then leave the rest behind. Trust me, your legs will thank you after a long day on the trail. Now, as promised, here are 2 pieces of underrated gear that absolutely deserve a spot in your pack on every single trip. First up, lip balm. It's lightweight. It prevents your lips from cracking, especially if you're going to be hiking at higher and higher elevations, and it doubles as a fire starter in an emergency. Keep it in a pocket that's easily accessible so that you can apply it multiple times a day and you don't have to rummage through your pack. Second, a pack towel. Whether you're wiping condensation from your tent or just cleaning up after dinner or even just wiping down after a hike, this little chamois cloth is amazing. Bonus tip, soak it in water, twirl it around, and put it around your neck for an instant cool off on a hot day. Both items are small, lightweight, and in my opinion, they're absolutely invaluable. Don't hit the trail without them. So there you have it, the 5 biggest mistakes I see backpackers make and how you can avoid them. Which of these mistakes have you made? Or maybe you have another gear tip that changed the game for you. Drop it in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Remember, less is more in the backcountry. Save weight, simplify your gear, and focus on the essentials. You'll hike farther, faster, and you'll enjoy the journey a lot more. If this video helped you rethink how you pack and inspired you to lighten your load, share it with a fellow backpacker. And watch this video so that you can stop packing your fears and build the best first aid kit for you. And don't forget to subscribe for more videos like this. Until next time, 1 Corinthians 10:31.